What's up, guys? Welcome back to tonight. We are going to be installing the BD Diesel 2 Low kit onto my 2018 Ram 3500. The reason why I'm doing the 2 Low kit because the truck is a G56 manual tranny, and I just got done doing a South Bend dual disc clutch in it. You can check out that video I posted a little while ago, and that clutch is great. It holds great, but it is kind of touchy when it comes to backing up a trailer, maneuvering a trailer within the yard, backing in the driveways, that kind of stuff. So being able to put it into 4 low without having the front axle be driven will be, it's going to be a good thing. It's going to be easier on the clutch, easier on the truck, and everything else. It's going to make backing in a lot easier. So pretty much what this kit does is it bypasses the front axle interlock connection that enables the front axle when it's in 4-wheel drive, and it bypasses that system, so it'll still put the transfer case into the 4-wheel drive low position, but it doesn't actually close the connection inside the axle. And they give you instructions here, and then it comes with this nice little harness that's all put together. And we're going to be installing this using the factory aux switches, so that way it's a nice clean install. If you don't have the aux switches, they do give you a little switch here that you can install to enable this feature. So we'll get this all opened up, start going through the instructions, and see what we got. So on the passenger side, we're going to start under here, and the first thing we're going to do is pop off this trim panel. So there are plastic push pins along the edge. Get yourself a trim removal tool and pop down these pins here. So you're just going to let this panel drop down out of the way, and we'll disconnect this light here so we can get the panel out the rest of the way. And what we're after is going to be this box here in the back. So we'll pull this carpet down, unclip it from the side there, and pull it down out of the way so we can access that box. And that box is a drivetrain control module, which controls the 4-wheel drive. So once you get the carpet down, pulled in, out of the way, you get this cover here, which just snaps on these 3 points here, comes off real easy. So you have the blue connector right there on the left that you're going to swap out with this. You're going to plug that in its place, and you're going to take that wire and you're going to plug it into this connector here, and you're going to then take your 2 relays here and you can tie them up off to the side onto this harness there, put the cover back up in place, and then this wire lead, the rest of it, is going to get ran underneath the carpet here and then ultimately end up onto the driver's side of the truck. So we got everything all tied up here. We got the relays tied up. Now, unfortunately, if this section of wire here was like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch longer, that cover would be able to go back on. But unfortunately, it's a little short. So BD, if you're listening, start making these a little bit longer so that way that cover can go back on. Does it really matter? Probably not, but I'm picky and I like to do things as close to factory as I can, so this kind of bugs me a little bit. But anyways, relays are zip tied up, installed, got the harness here tucked underneath the carpet and the side that's going to go to the driver's side I have tucked underneath here for now, and coming out right here. We're going to button up the rest on this side, and then we're going to worry about getting that fed on over to the other side. So I stuck my flashlight up there and I was able to see light on the driver's side. So we have the harness taped up to a piece of TIG welding rod, and we're going to feed it through there and then pick it out at the other side. So just like that, it's pulled through, got her in here. We're going to untape it. I did end up cutting 2 of the 3 terminals off the end because I was having trouble getting it through. It kept binding up, and we're only using 1 of the wires here. The other 2 wires that you use are, it's a power feed to your switch, your feed to the relays over there, and then the last one is a ground if your switch has a light. So because we're using the aux switches, we don't need a power source, we just need the one to send power to the relay. So we were able to cut the 2 other ones off. Even if you were using the other ones, it's not that big of a deal to put some new ends on it to get this thing fed through there. So when you open up your upfitter wiring kit that you get with the truck, you get 2 jumpers here, which we're not going to worry about, this harness, and then a whole bunch of these pins here. So these pins is what we're going after, and this is what we're going to use to plug into the connector underneath the hood by the firewall. So we're going to take out a couple of those, and they give you the diagram here in the back. So we're going to be using number 5, and we're also going to be using this guy right here, which I don't know if too many people notice, but this is your pass-through. So that means that this connects to an open terminal inside the truck. So since we need to use a power that's coming out of the truck and send it back into the truck, we're going to be using that. And that way you don't have to run another wire through your firewall somewhere else. You get to use all the factory stuff. So you just need to make a jumper on that gray plug there between the bottom left and bottom right port, and then go back and find that wire up underneath the dash. So on these plugs here, you have that red tab right there. Slide that back, and then there's another tab down there inside that you push down, and you'll be able to take this cap right off. So this cap that's they use as a dust cover is going to be actually the same plug that you're going to use to make the connections in there. So I'm going to bring this to the bench and get this all wired up. So we're going to start off by taking out 2 of these green ones. So it's going to be these bottom 2. You just pull out these plugs just like that with a pair of pliers. And then on the inside, there's that white locking tab on the inside. There is a little latch right there that you're going to push towards this side and then pull that out all at once. So just like that, it pulls up to unlatch. It doesn't come all the way out. Then you're going to take these wires and you're going to slide them in through the back. You do have to make sure that they slide in the correct way, which the opening part here is going to catch. If you look in there, the top side, there's a little catch in there, and that's going to be the right way that these go in. So if you're looking at the back of the plug like this, the opening is going to go towards your right. You want to hear that click, just like that. There you go, you're all set. So we're going to push this tab back in place here. That's your lock that locks in those tabs, the pins, and we're going to get these 2 wires wired up, connected together. So just like that, we got the harness made up. You saw me make this. I take pride in everything I do, so I made this look as best as I could. Decided to terminate it in that fashion. A loop really wouldn't have looked that good in my opinion, and it would have stuck out. So this way this can get tied down here and zip tied just like that in the future. Or what's actually going to happen is that my clutch master cylinder here, I usually have zip tied up top here, which I'm making a bracket for. So these are going to be relocated to back here. But if you don't have that issue, you know, that looks good there. It gets zipped down in place over there. And we're all done on this side, so we'll go into the cab and I'll show you the harness that got made up for there and explain that, which will connect to let's see, get the camera good. Sorry. There is that gray connector right there that you can see is where that pass-through cable is going to come through. So I made up the other harness. I cut everything short. I'll tie up to that point, and then everything will go underneath the carpet here where it'll get connected together. So here you can see the end where I terminated the ends. I cut them off to feed the wire through, as I said before. Put some heat shrink over them. Crimped them off all nice so that you don't have to worry about anything getting shorted out, because these are two power. One was power, one was ground. The other wire, the pink wire, which is where the power is being fed to the relay system, I put this male terminal on here to match up the female coming from the truck side. I'm in the habit of putting female on the side that will have power to it potentially. So female side on your feed, and then male side on what's receiving the power. Just the way I've kind of always done anything. And I swapped out this end because the original one that came on it was a female side, so it didn't match up with the female that I put on. And additionally, it was also a smaller spade terminal to match up with the back of the switch that they give you. So that's the two reasons why this got swapped out. So we're going to get the harness plugged up underneath the dash, get this fed underneath the carpet. Before we do that, we will just double check and confirm that we have good power coming from the plug and through all the aux switch hardware. So we have the multimeter hooked up to the wire coming out. It's plugged up in there, which you can see just hardly. Sorry about that. And we're grounding to the parking brake assembly. So you can see 0 volts. Come over here, turn it on. And then we got 12.7, off, on, off. So good to go. We'll plug everything up and get it all tidied up. So the last thing we have to do is go in and configure the switch to operate the way we want to. So this is on 2018 Laramie. Different years and trim levels may be a little bit different, but more or less going to be the same. You're going to want to go up to your commercial settings. You're going to enter your pin, which the factory default is all zeros. And you're going to scroll up to aux switches. We're using switch number 5. If you're using a different switch, then you'll program it for the one accordingly. For us, I have it on number 5. I'm going to enter in that one. We're going to do the type of switch is going to be a latching. Momentary switch is a simple push on off. So if you're wiring in a horn, you just want it to only be on when you're pushing the button on. That's a momentary. You're wiring in a light or the 2-low kit, for example, you want that as a latching style switch. Your power source is going to be battery. The options you have there is either battery or ignition power. The reason why I have it set for battery is if you're maneuvering a trailer or whatever, you have the 2-low on, you shut the truck off, and then you start it back up. If it's battery, it's going to continue to be on, and you won't have to worry about the front axle trying to connect when the truck gets started, because it's going to see that it's in 4-wheel drive, but the axle's not connected. It's going to try to switch it over, and now you're no longer in 2-low. So if it's set up for battery, it's always going to be on. So if you shut the truck off, when you start it back up, you're still going to be in 2-low. You won't have to worry about it trying to switch back on you. And the last option here is last state. So that one's obviously going to be off because it's battery power. If you wanted to do it, if you had it set for key on power, you can do last state to be on. So that way, when you turn the key back on, it'll either be off if you left it off, or it'll be on if you left it on. I'm choosing to go with the battery source, so you don't have to worry about it. I'm not sure on how sensitive the timing is and everything, but example for that is if you had like an auxiliary cooling fan somewhere, you want it to shut off with the battery, but when you turn the key on, you want it to turn back on automatically. That's how you'd set it up for that. So that's going to wrap up this video. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. Other than that, give me a subscribe, thumbs up, and we'll see you guys later.